and a very warm welcome indeed to this latest edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is a very special man indeed. At an early age, he contracted polio, but despite that handicap, and maybe even because of it, he became an extremely accomplished dancer. And here he is, in person, Dergin Tokmak.
Hello.
Wonderful to have you here today, Dergin, coming to join us here on Talking Germany. Thank you very, very much indeed. Now, when I say that Dergin Tokmak is accomplished, it's a massive understatement. He is, I can tell you, absolutely breathtaking. And his skill on his sticks, as he calls his crutches, has helped him to build a high-flying career that has included a world tour with the giants of circus, the Cirque du Soleil. Now, Dergin, I'd like to begin with something that you told me before the show when we were chatting a little bit. You were saying that your first language, more or less, is German, your second language is Turkish, your third language is English, and your fourth language is dance.
Correct.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Tell me how important dance is to you.
Oh, dancing is very important for me because I'm a very a person who has lots of energy, and I think it's gives me the chance to really philosoph with my body.
Yeah.
So it helps me also bring my mind and my body together. So it's very important for me in my life.
Okay. It's been very important for you in your very successful professional life because you are a very successful dancer. Tell me, have you become a dancer? Did you become a dancer? Because this is the question I asked in my introduction a little bit. Did you become a dancer despite your disability or perhaps even because of your disability?
Well, I found a solution, how to create my own style. And, in dance, which is very important, is you need to really be unique, if you want to be successful. And in my case, brings my handicap, it makes me unique in that, So I think I was taking a big advantage of this, of my disability, to integrate myself with my dance and make it successful.
Oh, yeah. And we need to talk. We're going to talk a little bit later in depth about the whole idea of handicap and being handicapped and not being handicapped and what that means. Just tell me about the whole idea of being handicapped, because you are as a person, you're much more athletic than I am. Yeah, you're much more mobile than I am. So in what sense are you a handicapped person? Do you view yourself as a handicapped person?
Well, I think we all have a handicap somewhere, and we need to just find out where is the handicap, and then you can work on that and making a progress how to make it the best of it, it's always difficult, but it's just I found a solution. I was always as a kid very creative, and I think sport was very important for me as well. Yeah. And mobility is also very, very important for me. And I found out always trying some things out, making tricks, and just finding always challenging myself with the situation. How can you go the stairs up, or how you can go down, how you can survive in this wild jungle in the big cities. And dancing is always me and helps me also for my all day, to how to survive.
Wonderful. Dergin, as we learnt in that report, you were born in Augsburg. Yeah, is Augsburg still home for you?
Yeah, definitely. Augsburg is I'm a native Augsburg man, so I'm born there, and even when I'm traveling all around the world, it's always I'm coming back to Augsburg, so it's my basement there, basically.
You're a real homeboy. When you talk about your childhood in Augsburg, you quite often mention that there was a lot of pain and a lot of loneliness. Yeah, can you describe that a little bit more for us?
Well, when I was starting to find out that I have polio, so I had to find a solution how I can make the best of it. So it starts with us going to the school. I was going to a handicap school, and they were really taking care of us there and trying to updating us with all those things where we can make it better. I had lots of surgeries on my legs. I can count my scars, which is 11 scars. And my parents was always taking the decision for this. In that time they were not speaking very well German as well. So they were always, what the doctor was saying, hey, we can make here a surgery and make it better. and they were just always like keep hoping that maybe once I can walk. So and they also were very religious, so they thought maybe we can like go to an imam or to like a pastor, like he can make him feel good, you know. So they tried pretty much everything like to make me walk. So.
It's interesting. You're talking about the difficulties in this very early phase, but you've mentioned it already. You were already even when you were like, I think 3, 4, 5 years old, you were extremely sporty. You were extreme. I mean, we saw it in that footage there.
Yeah.
You were very dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was as a child. I mean, for me, it was like everything I saw it more like like a game. Yeah. And when other normal kids were starting to walk on the feet, I was starting to walk on my hands, and I was 3 years old, and I found very like quick. I found out that I am like very strong, like what I didn't have on my legs, I was compensating on my upper body. So and I mean I was moving, and I was like a normal child. I was playing, like everything was pretty normal for me until like when I was starting to going to find out what kind of job I can do it. I found it very like difficult in that time, like to. I mean, for everyone, it's difficult to be this step from going from school and then like doing your profession for work. Yeah. So and at that time I was like studying a technical illustrator. So I had also a normal life, I would say. And
but you had the normal life, but what was going on at the same time? You'd seen this movie, Breaking, which obviously had an impact, a massive impact on you. It sort of effectively changed your life. And then you started dancing, you started training yourself, and you were working very, very hard to become a dancer. Yeah? Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps you could show us some of the, take us back to those days and show us some of the sort of the earlier steps, I don't know, that you worked on.
Sure.
Yeah? Great.
Well, one of my first steps was like they call the tic-tac step. Well, I'm taking like the right stronger leg and bring it together with my weaker leg. And this is like one of my basics. Like this is maybe the first time when I was, really going in a circle and dancing. Like.
And even as a teenager, you were training like 3 or 4 hours a day. Yeah.
Oh, every day. Man, this is the first thing what I thought when I come back from the school. Yeah. I was go right away, like just to this youth center where I was always training. And we were training hard, so every time.
And how you initially you didn't tell your parents? You sort of kept it secret from your parents.
Yeah, my parents, they were pretty much worried about me because I can hurt myself, and
Not surprised. Yeah. Show us a bit more. Yeah.
I want to show you like
these early steps. Yeah.
This was one from the early steps. My last step, what I really learned in the circus in the end, like was the handstand doing on the crutches. Okay. So I think this is like the high class move in my whole repertoire. So I hope I can go up again. Wait.
Whoa.
Ain't got.
Okay. Well done. Yeah, bravo. And when you were in Augsburg back then, and you'd begun to train and you'd begun to learn these initial moves, yeah, and when you performed initially, yeah, how did people react?
Oh, the reaction! It was incredible. I was observing this applause like from my very first time, and this was like, give me like the impression like I should work on it, like because it's a nice exchange between the audience and the artist, like when they're giving you're doing your show and then they're giving you like a big applause, and this energy gives you like a really like a big strength, you cannot describe it. It's just incredible, this feeling.
Wonderful. Good for you. And the applause gets even bigger because obviously later on you went to work for the Cirque du Soleil. We'll talk about that in just a second. It must make you very sad, Dergin, to see that there are still countries in the world where there are children who are affected by polio.
Yeah, you still can. Unfortunately, you still can see it like in other second world or third world countries, and also like it comes also now to Germany since all those people coming from Syria, like and those children are not getting the vaccine, so there's like a little coming back a little bit. So we need to really take care about it and have to see that we have this over control and help those kids,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just give me a little bit of a help with pronunciation. I'm going to pronounce the name of a Turkish village, which is Maraköy.
Oh, that's
Is that okay?
Yeah, good
That's
pronouncing.
good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
That was the village that your parents took you back to when you were 8 months old. Perhaps you can just describe the village a little bit for us.
Well, it's like a small village in Anatolia, in Turkey, which is like in the mountains. It's very dry and has like a, I don't know, like a water thing. So it's like maybe like 200 people lives there.
Yeah.
And I still remember when we used to go my childhood, we used to go every year when we had the school holidays. We used to go always to visit my grandmother and my grandfather. So it's pretty simple there. Like, even like until to the end of the 80s, there were no electricity and no water. So we had to go there and just like bring everything, the water and, so people living from there, from what they are growing. So it's pretty simple. So
it's a bit ironic, really, because this village is associated with a very unhappy development in your life, but also with some of the happiest moments in your childhood. Yeah.
Oh, we used to love to go every year to Turkey. It was great, because we used to still live in Augsburg, in a city, and there, when we used to go to Turkey, like in the village, you could play, and there were no cars, and there were animals. It's just like it was nice for my childhood there.
You've mentioned your parents already, and they're very important to you. You still live close to your parents in Augsburg.
Yeah.
It must have been a terrible thing for them, for their little baby, to suddenly have been affected by the polio virus. Yeah. Did you, when you were growing up, did you talk to them about that, or did you just get on with your lives and?
Well, I mean, we used to talk sometimes about it, but there was like a chapter what I just like didn't want to really talk about that. So I was like always trying to look forward and use the situation what I have and make it the best on it.
Yeah. Were they? We've mentioned the fact that you kept it a little bit of a secret from them for a while, that you had ambitions to be a dancer. I'm curious to know what ambitions they might have had for you, because it's very interesting. Because you're clearly a very, very bright guy, and they must have been sort of thinking, well, he could do this or he could do that. Yeah.
Well, my father always he wants to have that I'm like studying and like having be more focused on the school.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was not really a guy who could really sit quiet and just like study, So I had way too much energy in myself.
Yeah.
And, so it was always like secretly, I was always practicing and trying to like, go my own way.
Yeah.
And I think I have I'm a little bit dickhead. So, and have my, when I really like want to do something, I really want to do it, so I'm not a person that listens to other persons, listening maybe, but, I always try to take this out, what I really like to do it. And I just have a big, a big heart, just like my heart. If I listen to my heart, he always tells me where to go.
Uh-huh. Sounds wonderful. Let's just talk about your crutches for just a second. You've got them here. Tell us about your crutches, because I mean they're very important in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, they are definitely.
Your
yes.
sticks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used to have when I was started in the 80s to dance, I had pretty much normal crutches, but after a while, I found a way how to make them like the best. So, which is really important on those crutches is like this one is in one piece, which is carbon fiber in titanium. Mm-hmm. And the crutch is very light, so they have to be really light here.
Yeah, because I've spent a fair bit of time on crutches myself, because I once broke my leg extremely badly. So these are very light indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very picky with those crutches. So the Cirque du Soleil made me them as I need them. I gave them a prototype how to have to do them, and they just made the Formula 1 crutch for me.
Oh yeah.
And you can see also a bandage, because when I'm always going on stage, before I go on stage, I'm getting very nervous and sweaty.
Yeah.
So that's why I have also here this year and wrapping it every day before I go on stage.
This down here, this is important, because you don't want to be slipping around at all. You need to have
Well, depends what kind of stages it is. I'm always changing the tips. Mm-hmm. So the tips have to be light as well, and also sometimes in clubs it's a bit difficult, but yeah, the stage have to be like here is right now the best.
Yeah.
And I also like beton or concrete.
Concrete, yeah.
Concrete, yeah. Mm-hmm. is for me the best. So with concrete, I have the best feeling to dance.
Okay, tell me this. I know that you are something of a role model, yeah, for other people, and you get a lot of mail from people who maybe are on crutches, people who may be handicapped in some other way, saying, what you do and how you do it. I like it. Tell us a little bit about that mail and that feedback that you get.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I get all the time like nice feedbacks, emails, or I also have like some tutorials in YouTube's. You know, when some people ask me like, "Hey, how do you start?" or "How did you do this?" So I put a tutorial on YouTube, and also now when people are writing me, also I'm writing them back. Like it gives me also a good energy. Like when I see, okay, I'm working for something, I'm doing something good. You know, like so, it's nice to see that.
How you must be very proud of the fact that you have this role, that you can be a role model for others, that you can inspire other people. I know it's always odd to be asked about your pride, but I think you must be, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm like. Of course, I'm proud of that. You know, like this is what's about the life. You know, you need to also think about other people, not just on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and most people doesn't do that. And for me, it's very important to share. You know, and I think with dance, you can share in any languages, so everybody understands it. So you know, like.
When we're talking about dance, Dergin, it's we've learnt already you went off to work for the Cirque du Soleil. You worked with them for 6 years, yeah, in a program called Varakai. Before you tell us a little bit more about exactly what that was all about, what it was like working for the circus, let's just have a glimpse of you on stage again, yeah, because this is fantastic stuff. The Cirque du Soleil with Varakai. Tell us a little bit about the story. Tell us about what we're actually seeing there, about the role that you played there.
The character what I was playing was the limping angel, and the whole story was about the Greek mythology, about Icarus. In our story, he's not dying; he's just break his wings and his legs, and we trying to to show him in the show how you can get up. You need to learn when you fall. You need to learn how to get up, and this is like the whole message in my number. I'm one of those angels, and I try to inspire Icarus.
How did it come about? How did you get the job in the first place? Did the phone ring and they got in touch with you, or
Well, it was in 2003 when it was the first time I was in contact with Cirque du Soleil. So they were making a worldwide research. Like they have a big casting department where they're always replacing those certain of acts. So they had this act with these crutches, and it was a guy before. He was always just simulating that.
Was this a guy called Bill Shannon, or was that somebody different?
No, he was the choreographer.
He was the choreographer.
Yeah,
he seems to have been a remarkable person as well. Yeah.
Yes, he's one of those original crutches dancers, or unique, I would say. Like there's not many of them in this planet right now. So there's just one of him and me. So he has like a different style. He works with the crutches. They go on under the shoulders. Yeah. So it's a different style, and yeah, there was other guy. He was just a Russian guy. He was like I don't know, 5 times medalist in some sports. So he was a very like a famous sportsman, and he did actually doing this act. So, but when he was injured, so they were like looking for another artist. Yeah. And I was recommended by some other dancer from Berlin here that he knows someone that he could probably replace this act. So that's how first comes the contact between Cirque and me.
And the Cirque du Soleil, I've seen the Cirque du Soleil, I think, 3 times, and it's breathtaking stuff. Would you say it's the best circus in the world?
Well, it's definitely the Champions League and in all the entertainment business. So if you are once with them, like you have it's one of the highest class for sure. So it's a big honor for every artist like to work with Cirque du Soleil. Okay,
so on a day-to-day basis, what is it actually like working there? How tough is it as an environment? Yeah, how do you spend your days? Because you must be under a lot of pressure to compete with some very high-class people.
Well, I was lucky that I had a solo act, so I had enough time, for myself. Basically, when we are in a city, we always staying around 6 to 8 weeks in one city, so you have also enough time to discover the cities. So we used to have 8 to 10 shows in the week. So when you have one show, you have
8 to 10 shows a week.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
That is tough. That is very tough.
It's definitely a lot of work. You need to have to bring some skills that you are actually can work so long. Most people after 2-3 years they are leaving, but for me it was just a dream just to be worked for them, and that's why I did also 6 years for them.
And that might have something to do with the fact that you have said of yourself that there's something of the traveller in your blood, that you are somehow a born nomad. Tell me about that. Well, you're smiling, yeah?
Definitely, I love to dancing and also traveling, and that together is just a nice mix together. And the Cirque is always was offering me that thing. It was open me the doors, and also this was the first time for me that I, were studying something. Like they really like teach me how to like do the makeup and movement and acrobatics and acting. So there's also like lots of stuff what I was learning from them. You know, because before I was just like be an autodidact and teaching myself everything. You know.
Yeah.
And my skills was just the acrobatic skills, but the rest, like, you know, how to build a show and doing the choreographies and everything, you know, how you can be a part of this business, like this hard business. And I learned a lot from them, I will say.
Okay. Well, then tell me what you have done with that, because you had these 6 long years with Cirque du Soleil. Now you are your own man, your own manager. You're completely independent. That's a very different lifestyle. What are you doing with it? What are you doing now?
Well, I'm a one-man business, and everything what I do is manage myself. I'm working now as a freelance worker, so you can hire me for any galas or for Cirque shows. I'm doing like also varieties and stuff like that. I want to also do in the future. I have now time also think about the future, like doing maybe bringing my biography in a theater. I would like to do my own show, so this is what's pretty important for me now to making a new progress to develop myself. You know, like, I think that I had my 6 years with Cirque du Soleil, which was like amazing. But yeah, you know, I'm not so really. I would not say I want to get stuck on the future. You know, right now I want to enjoy the moment and just forget about the past and just like let's see what's coming in the future.
Okay. And on the report or on the footage from the Cirque du Soleil, we saw just how important, what formidable sort of upper body strength and upper body fitness you had back then. Is it still the same now, or are you?
No, definitely, yeah. I'm working every day on that, so it's every day a battle.
Yeah,
you know,
challenge.
Definitely it's a challenge, like to go in the studio. And you know, and also work by myself, because I used to grow up in working in a big team, you know. So now I'm working by myself, and it can be sometimes a little bit hard. But
I can imagine you must have days where you get up in the morning and think,
oh yeah. I mean, I spent always like 3 to 4 hours in the gym, like doing my dance routines and going to the choreographies and discovering like new moves, and then after going like and working with the weights.
Okay. What's your relationship to the word normal?
Well, my opinion is that we are not all normal, so we all have very individual. So, and I see myself like as different than other people's.
Yeah.
And you know, in my head looks everything fun, you know, and enjoy. Life is short, you know, and then I don't want to get stuck with my situation that, okay, I'm gonna have a handicap and it's just too complicated for me.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind looks everything beautiful. You know, you're your own director. You can just make it beautiful, you know, like, and this gives me energy and gives me the power what I have, you know, and this is also what I want to share, you know, like, so, you know, and people think when you have you are sitting in a wheelchair and the life is finished, but it's not like that, you know, like we're living in a different time, in a new time where we also can like act, also be successful, you know. And I think it's a very good story, like to show, like, you know, with my story, that we can inspire so many people, like, you know. And I'm glad that I have this position and bring this story up.
And the professor, the sociologist in that report, she says that there's one comment where she says. There is no such thing as disability. End of story. Full stop, she says. So you would presumably agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, you hold yourself when you let you stop yourself, you know, like in that point, you know, and then in that point, then you have a handicap, you know. But when you are actually going over the hills and just, you know, try to take this. Try to take the challenge what somebody gave it to you, then you can put those hills to the side with no problem, you know, like.
Wonderful. I like the line that you had. You can be your own director. You can be the director of your own movie, effectively. You went to a school. You mentioned earlier in the discussion. You went to a school for the handicapped. The policy in Germany now is moving more towards having inclusive schools, where people just all go to school together. Is that the right way to go?
Well, it's hard to say if it's a good way or not. You know, like definitely when I was a child, I mean, if I would like be in one of those schools, I probably would have a good chance to find a better jobs. You know, like, so I think we need to see if this new project inclusion has a success or not. So it's hard to say but it's a good idea that we are trying it. You know, like, and for some people, because it's a big. having a handicap, it's a big word, you know, like maybe some people have like just something on the arm or just something on the legs, but they're still in the mind very strong. So why they shouldn't have this opportunity to like go in a normal school? You know, I think it's a good idea. I like it.
Okay. There's one other thing we haven't talked about, Dergin, that is, you have a German passport.
Right.
Okay. You were born in Germany.
Right.
You speak better German than Turkish?
No, I speak better German because I was in a German school.
Okay, so better German, yeah. You went to school in Germany the whole time, yeah?
Yeah.
You've got a German driver's license.
I do.
I know all this because I've researched it thoroughly, yeah? But despite all these things, yeah, and despite the fact that you obviously feel very comfortable living in Germany in very many ways and that Augsburg is home for you, you have been quoted as saying, I feel like I'm German most of the time. What's the most of the time bit?
Well, I'm an artist, you know, like, and I like to go in different roles, you know, like, so it's when I'm in Spain, I feel like Spanish. If I am Turkey, I feel like the Turkish. So, you know, like I try to always take the culture in this place where I am, you know, like, so, and yeah, I'm very flexible.
You're a wonderful optimist and you're a wonderful role model, but you have said something that I thought was extremely interesting. You said yourself, my greatest challenge has been the fact that I am somebody from an immigrant community rather than somebody who is handicapped. Yeah? So the bigger challenge in your life has been being here in Germany and being a member of an immigrant community. That's what you say. That's pretty tough.
Well, yeah, because if you compare, of course, you now see it like, you know, because I have a handicap, it must be very hard, you know, like, but it wasn't for me like this. You know, like,
I'm listening to everything you say.
You know, we used to always like, you know, my parents used to always think to go, you know, once we're going to here, when we are working, we have enough money, we're going to go back. So we always like, we grew up in a kind of like a parallel world, you know, you were not really home in Turkey, you were not really home in Germany. And this was kind of hard for as a child, you know, like to say, hey, so where I'm from now, you know, like, so this kind of thing they didn't really teach it to us. So, and I think that's why I also lost myself in dancing. So, because I think I'm more feeling home in hip hop, you know, than in these problems what they have it here in Germany. So, so that's why I found really like it was difficult for me. But I found a solution. So I found my home, and I'm as an artist. It's the language. It doesn't matter from where you come. It's secondary.
Wonderful. I really am impressed and inspired by your optimism, but there's still one thing I want to know, because your career has been so... When you were working for the Cirque du Soleil, you were playing this role of the limping angel, the sort of the fallen angel. And I know that while you were working for the Cirque du Soleil, there were real down points in your career because you had bad falls and you had bad injuries. Just tell me a little bit about that and how you coped with those down points in your career.
Well, in my old dancing career, I think it was the first time when I was really hurting myself, like on stage. You know, like I mean, I had always some little like accidents where I had some scars here and there. So, but there, like I was like really pushing too much. You know, and when you're working with Cirque du Soleil, you're pushing each other like from the artists, and I was definitely just like going too far. You know, like because I mean, in that point, I didn't have so much experience. You know, like I mean, I had the skills as a dancer and all my acrobatics, but my experience for like existing in a professional entertainment business, I was just like a rookie. So I had to learn like really like, the big knockout with my big injury on my elbow. So, but I think it was a good experience, and now I know much more better to appreciate my body.
Good for you. We're talking about your body. I mean, and your interest in sport. You're into diving.
Oh yeah. I was in Australia in Great Barrier Reef. It was the first time, you know, like so with the full suit and with the gas thing. I don't know. Yeah. So, and this was the first time for me where I like didn't need my legs, and I was like kind of like floating or like flying in the water. Yeah. So it was a kind of like, I don't know. It was the best experience what I ever had, and it was like a dream. You're just like, you know, it's incredible.
Wonderful. Even tougher than the diving, another thing that's fascinated me that I'm going to use a German word now, yeah? You are also into what you call Rollstuhlwandern, which wheelchair hiking, yeah? How does that work? Huh?
Well, I mean, when you travel and you're always around and you have always a different scenario, And I like to be doing experiments, you know. And this was like when I was in New Zealand, in Auckland. We went to one of the volcanoes, which was like a hiking way. So I just thought, okay, maybe it could be interesting for other wheelchairs, drivers, maybe, you know, to inspire them. So I did this video with the wheelchair hiking, and yeah, it was just fun, you know. Like, it was like an 8 hours road where you're just like going to the volcano, and I think it was amazing to see that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I had just like lots of blisters after a while.
I bet you did.
But yeah, it was worth it.
Good for you. Right. We're moving towards the end of the show. We've got our traditional quiz at the end of the show. Quick questions, quick answers, Dergin. Would you rather be at home or on the road?
On the road.
Jay-Z or Kanye West?
Kanye West.
Good choice. I'm with you all the way there. We're talking about the circus, yeah? Clowns or acrobats?
Acrobats.
It had to be, didn't it? Yeah. Do you prefer perfection or imperfection?
Imperfection.
Although there's a perfectionist inside you somewhere there. Has life been good to you or tough?
Oh, very good. Life was treating me very well.
Good for you. Inspiring person. Thank you very much for joining us today. Great stuff. That is your lot with the wonderful, the athletic, and the very charming Dergin Tokmak. A great guest, and if you've enjoyed his company as much as I have, come back next week. Until then, bye-bye and tschüss.